Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our webinar today. The webinar is focused on the European Union's Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions Staff Exchanges programme, which is formerly known as MSCA RISE. So thank you for joining us here today. And just to note that the webinar is being recorded and we will make the recording available afterwards. So my name is Yvonne Halpin. I'm the head of the Irish Marie Skłodowska-Curie Office, or the IMSCO in short. And I'm the national delegate and one of two national contact points for the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions in Ireland. And my fellow national contact point, Jane Carrigan, is on the webinar with us today as well. So this is a session for all types of organisations based in Ireland. We're very pleased to have such a variety of organisations joining the webinar from across academia, the private sector, charities, and the civil society sector as well. Just to note, there will be a Q&A session after the presentations, so I invite you to please post your questions into the Q&A or the chat functions, and we'll address as many of these as we can. Before I introduce the panel, I want to explain to you who we are and to do a bit of scene setting. The IMSCO is supported by the Irish Research Council and jointly operated under a partnership with the Irish Universities Association. Our mission is to promote the MSCA programmes across sectors and disciplines in Ireland, to contribute to policy initiatives relevant to the actions, and to provide a conception to completion service for the research active community in Ireland. Our services include the promotion of MSCA programmes through webinars like this one, information sessions, and other communications activities. We also provide query support to applicants, and we'll provide a staff exchange proposal writing handbook for applicants, and that's in collaboration with our MSCA National Contact Point colleagues across Europe through the MSCA Net project. Finally, we also offer a proposal pre-review service for applications being coordinated by an Ireland-based organisation. So please get in touch if that is you. The IUA also houses the Euraxis Ireland office, and that provides practical support for researchers and hosting organisations, and links to research job and career development opportunities as well. Euraxis Ireland also operates the Fast Track Immigration Hosting Agreement scheme, allowing for employment of non-EEA MSCA fellows in Irish academia and industry. So should you wish to avail of Euraxis Ireland support, you can contact my colleague Magda on magda@iua.ie, and we'll also put Magda's details into the chat function. So that brings us to our guest speakers for today, and we are delighted to be joined by Raquel Jimenez-Trias of the European Research Executive Agency. Raquel will present an overview of the Staff Exchanges 2023 call in a moment. And then following Raquel's presentation, we will also showcase a successful RISE awardee from Ireland. So we're joined by Professor Larissa Florea, an MSCA RISE co-coordinator and associate professor from the School of Chemistry and Amber in Trinity College, Dublin. So we'll begin with Raquel. Larissa and Jane, you can both turn off your videos for now. Raquel is a project advisor in the European Research Executive Agency in the MSCA Staff Exchanges scheme. Raquel has extensive experience working for the European Commission for the last 12 years and working with and for European projects for more than 17 years. Raquel will now present an overview of the MSCA Staff Exchanges under Horizon Europe. So Raquel, I invite you to share your screen.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Just let me go here. Can you confirm just for a second that you can see my screen?
We don't see it yet.
Okay.
Raquel.
Just a moment. Yeah. No. So...
Yeah, something's starting now, and then we'll
perfect. Yeah.
Do the switch.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for this this technical mishap. So thank you, Yvonne, for your kind introduction and also for giving us the platform to promote our program Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions Staff Exchanges. Is one of the least known MSCA actions. So I'm delighted to be here, especially together with the NCP Ireland for promoting our program, because we have a lot of success stories that come from Ireland, and we would like to continue to be so. So the objective of today's presentation is twofolded. As I said, one is to present you with the main features of the program, and also to inform you how to or to guide you how to submit your proposal, and secondly, to motivate you and encourage you to submit your proposals for the ongoing call for this year that just opened in October. So the outline of my presentation is here. I would start with the main features and the policy context of staff exchanges, and it would be followed by some figures on Ireland participation, both in the former program RISE and the new staff exchanges. And I will conclude with some slides on how to participate in next call. So what is staff exchanges about? To know what it's about, we need to put it into its context, which is, of course, many of you know Horizon Europe, which is the EU's key funding program for research and innovation. You can see Horizon Europe is divided in 3 different pillars. Today we will focus on Pillar 1, which is excellent science, that aims to increase the EU's global scientific competitiveness, and alongside Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions that you can see there is the European Research Council and the research infrastructure. The total budget for the ensemble of MSCA in Horizon Europe program is 6.6 billion euros. Going deeper into Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, there are 5 main Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions. There is a continuity, for example, with the previous framework program, it's 2020. We have doctoral networks, which is focused on early researchers, postdoctoral fellowships, that is it aims to encourage experience or to support experienced researchers in supporting the careers of individual researchers and promoting excellence. We have co-fund that supports national and international doctoral and postdoctoral networks, programs, through co-funding, and then MSCA and citizens that brings science closer to the public with the European Researchers Night. And of course, staff exchanges that promotes knowledge collaboration between organizations by sharing practices in the context of a research project and through research mobility. Regarding the staff exchanges action, the budget allocated for this year call, we will see afterwards, is 78.5 million euros. In the last point to highlight is that in the last call, the success in the call of 2022, the success rate of staff exchanges was approximately 40% of the proposals that were submitted were granted with our funding, compared to other MSCA actions that which success rate is approximately 13%. So let's focus on Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions and staff exchanges. What are the main objectives of the action, or what is all about? It's an action that is mainly a bottom-up. It has a bottom-up approach. So it's the researchers themselves that come up with the idea of the project, and then they build the consortium. Or we will see afterwards how the projects are constructed, but it covers all fields of science. So we have the concept of scientific panel concept. It's focused on it's mainly focused on international, intersectoral, and interdisciplinary mobility of research and innovation staff through the so-called secondments. So basically, it's about temporal mobility of staff of an organization that goes to another organization in the consortium, in the context of a research project. Through this mobility, the program aims at strengthening the knowledge transfer between the participating organization, as well as enabling the creativity and entrepreneurship and helping to turn ideas into product, services, or process. Organizations, both from the academic and non-academic sector, can participate in staff exchanges, and is very much encouraged to the participation of non-academic sector, because it's always quite enriching for the knowledge transfer and knowledge acquisition of the researchers participating in the projects. So cooperation happens across the globe. So our action is international in the sense that all the countries can participate in the scheme. We will see about the funding of the mobility then afterwards. So who can participate? Organizations from both academic sector and non-academic sector. Non-academic, I'm referring, for example, NGOs, private organizations, big companies, small companies, associations, civil society organizations, etc. So all kinds of organizations working in research and innovation can be part of staff exchanges, and they must be organized in a consortium, so a group of organizations that come together to work on a project. The minimum requirements for the consortium is that 3 legal entities, independent legal entities, in 3 different countries must be must be part of the consortium. 2 of which have to be in a different EU member state or Horizon Europe associated country. So only legal entities that are established in member states or associated countries can be beneficiaries. That means that can receive funding. If all organizations are from the same sector, as we are promoting a secondment that should be intersectoral or international, there should be one. If they are all in the same sector, there should be one organization that comes from outside EU member states or associated countries. Secondments from within EU member states should be intersectoral, so from academic to non-academic sector, or this with new staff exchanges, they can be also interdisciplinary. So it can be between academic to academic sector and non-academic to a non-academic sector within Europe, with a maximum of 1/3 of the total amount of person months done during the project with this interdisciplinary. But this we'll see clearer in these slides. So what are the eligible secondments or the secondments that we will be funding in the project? So as we say, the basis is that there is a research project, but we will fund the exchanges of the mobility from researchers from one organization in the project to another organization. So what are the eligible secondments that we will be funding? So within European Union member states or associated countries, it would be intersectoral, as you see in the picture above. So between academic to non-academic or vice versa, or between the same sector, but up to 1/3 of all the secondments in the project. We will also be funding secondments from beneficiaries from EU member states to third country partners that are located in a low or medium income country. So these secondments will be funded either from EU to third country or from third country to EU. Contrary to the secondments to with an organization located in high-income country. That secondments, as you can see here, secondments from EU to the high-income third country organization would be funded, but not the reverse flow. And now that we have seen the kind of secondments that are funded, let me say who can implement these secondments or this mobility. So basically, anytime secondments are open to any type of staff contributing to research and innovation activities. That can be researchers, administrative, managerial, and technical staff. Of course, the definition of staff should be according to national law and internal practices, with the organization having the legal means in terms of control, supervision, and instruction over the secondee. For example, often PhD students can be involved in the secondments. But it has been the definition of staff. It depends on the national law of the country. So any kind of staff can be implementing these mobilities. Researchers at any stage of the career can be doing. So this includes, as I said, doctoral candidates and postdoctoral researchers. Support staff must be active. This is very important. It must be actively engaged in research and innovation activities for at least 1 month at the sending institution prior to the first second. So they should be part of the staff before going on secondment. There's a maximum and minimum duration of the secondment, so the mobility should be between 1 to 12 months per staff member. This can be split between, let's say, different organizations. The secondee can do 15 days in one organization and 15 days in another. But at the end of the project, it should complete the minimum of 1 month, and it should not exceed the maximum of 12 months secondments. In the duration of our project, it's 48 months. So it's 4 years. So along these 4 years, the same staff members should do a minimum of 1 to 12 months. During the secondment, staff needs to be devoted full-time to the action. And after the period of secondment, of course, the seconded staff should return to the sending institution. This is to allow and maximize the impact of the exchange and ensure the transfer of knowledge and long-term collaboration. So what does the program or the action funds staff exchanges is based on the funding. It's based on the concept of unit cost. So per person month completed or implemented in the action, the organization will receive 4,600 euros. This is divided into different parts. Half of it, 2,300 euros, it should be devoted fully to covering the allowance for traveling, subsistence, and secondment cost for the fellow. So it should be integrally provided to the researcher doing the mobility. The other part, 1,300 euros, goes to research, training, and networking contribution, covering cost of training, transfer of knowledge, network activities, and research expenses. And then there's 1,000 euros that goes to the organization to cover the beneficiary additional costs, such as personal cost for project management, coordination, etc. There is also a special need allowances that might be granted to cover staff members with extra cost or additional cost of staff members with disabilities. This special needs item or services shall not be funded from another source, but it can be funded through staff exchanges, but it should be requested when the need arises. So in summary, the project's duration is 4 years with a maximum of 360 person months per project, which is equivalent to 1,600,000 euros. Secondments, as I said, had a minimum duration of 1 month to 12 months per staff member. Interdisciplinary secondments within Europe are allowed, but with a maximum number of 1/3 of the total person months allocated to the project. Then we will found unit costs or person months completed in the project, where 4,600 euros will be provided for each month completed. They split it in half. Half will go fully to the researcher to cover the travel expenses, etc., and the rest will go to the organization. There's an average budget per call, which is 75.5 million euros. And now, why should you apply for staff exchanges? Well, for us, it's quite it has a lot of added value when it comes to participation of non-EU countries. For example, our action has the highest participation of non-EU countries within MSCA. Representing over 55 of the partnerships that were in the former program, and 80% of the fellows of this partnership come from emerging and developing countries. Of the fellows coming from non-EU countries. Then it's open to business partners, including SMEs, which in the former program received an estimated of 20% of the available MSCA funding. And the analysis confirmed that the mutual benefits of collaboration between academic and non-academic organizations is excellent, is good for the researchers, and it's highly valuable, mainly for SMEs. Then staff exchanges foster also tangible innovations. So 37% of all patents in MSCA actions are generated by the program, the staff exchanges. This is, of course, linked to the high proportion of participation of non-academic and mainly private sector partner. And last but not least, the success rate of staff exchanges is quite high comparing to other MSCAs. So if you prepare a good proposal, there's a big chance that your proposal could be funded. This is some of the value added or outcomes that are expected for any project that is funded under staff exchanges. So we have an outcome for the staff member, so they will improve their skills and competences, of course, their employability and career prospects. Also, they will see their knowledge and innovative ideas converted into products, processes, and services. They will expand their international exposure and contribute or improve their networking and communication capacities with scientific peers as well as general public. For organizations, what are the incentives to participate in staff exchanges? Of course, their staff will gain from the transfer of knowledge between sector and disciplines. It also will boost their research and innovation capacity with the availability of human resources with highly qualified researchers, including experts in the field. And of course, it will lead to a strengthened and broadening their collaborative network in three dimensions, both international, interdisciplinary, and intersectoral. So let me show briefly some of the figures of the former Staff Exchanges program, known as RISE. So we have here the participation during the whole framework program H2020. So there were 104 participations in 61 projects, 47 different organizations. Of course, several organizations participate in several projects at the same time, and there were 24 coordinators, which is not negligible when you consider that total we funded 585 projects. So it's about 4% of the projects were coordinated by Irish organizations. So this is on the 2 years that we are running Staff Exchanges, on the 2 last calls. As you can see, the numbers are also high. For example, 5 coordinators out of 133 projects is a little bit lower than the overall figures of RISE, but it's 3.8. Now let me, I know I'm kind of delaying a bit on the presentations, so I'm a bit late, so I will run a bit faster. The presentation will be nevertheless uploaded in the website, so you can have a look afterwards. But let me give you the key dates and budget call for 2023. The call is already opened. It will close in 28th of February next year, so there is plenty of time for preparing and submitting your proposals. The budget for the overall call is 78.5 million, and there will be an info session the 8th of December on Staff Exchanges, where we will provide you with a lot of information and also first-hand experiences on the management and the submission of Staff Exchanges proposals. So the indicative timeline for next year is deadline is 28th of February. We will run the evaluation and then identify the successful applicants in June, July. Then grant signature will be done in November, and then as from November, the projects can start running. You can find more information about MSCA actions and the Staff Exchanges in the REAC website. And more on this call for proposals or for preparing your proposal, you go to the funding and tender portal and then search for your call of interest by typing MSCA Staff Exchanges. So there you will be able to find the call of this year. And also very interesting, the tool is if you're looking for partners in a consortium, then you can click Staff Exchanges 2023 and then click on search for partners here to collaborate on this topic. Then to start the application, there is a button that is Start Submission. It's as simple as that. Of course, documents include a part A, structured data. It's all done through the system. And then there's the description of the action that contains the technical and scientific description of the action. Reference documents that you can consult for preparing your proposal are here in this slide, but these are the main ones, and I think they can help you a lot to to prepare a good proposal. And here there are some tips and tricks that are quite obvious, but to keep in mind when you are preparing your application. I would like to highlight also this one: contact your national point. As Yvonne was saying, they can help you in drafting your proposal. But some of the tips and tricks, just are like getting a second opinion of the preparation of your proposal, follow available guidelines. This is important, just to also the criteria that we require, and also the evaluation criteria that the proposal will be rated against. So. And then also for some inspirations, you can also search on projects funded on this topic, on this staff exchanges call. So you can see the type of proposals that and projects that we funded. How to find partners as we work in a consortium, or we found projects managed by a consortium. Then it's important to find suitable partners, either by networking events, participating in networking events, using former or current collaborations, joint projects, and also in the Funding Internal Opportunities portal, you can see if there are different organizations that you can approach on the subject. As I said, that we will be having an info session on the 8th of December, so please watch out for more information. And this will finish my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to your questions. Sorry for lingering a bit longer. I hear you. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Raquel. No, we're fine for time. So thank you for that really comprehensive overview of the scheme, and actually for including some stats on Ireland's participation. It's great to see the level of participation from across the different sectors. And it really, I think, demonstrates the true intersectoral nature of the programme. So we'll hold off on questions until the panel session later on, but please do continue to enter your questions for that session. So we're going to move to our case study. I have the pleasure of introducing you to Professor Larissa Florea. Larissa is an associate professor in chemistry at Trinity College Dublin, and a funded investigator in AMBER, which is the SFI Centre for Advanced Materials and Bioengineering Research. So Larissa is the co-coordinator of the MSCA RISE project entitled Demands, and has been the recipient of several prestigious awards, including an ERC grant and an Irish Research Council laureate grant. So Larissa, I invite you to join us and begin your presentation.
Thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. So hello, everyone, and thank you to Yvonne and the organizers for giving me the chance to talk about an MSCA RISE action that I coordinate together with my colleague, Professor Mick Morris. And this is called Demands, Design and Manufacture of Sustainable Materials for Additive Manufacturing Technologies. What I would like to share with you today is the journey in creating the Demands Consortium, the proposal, just to tell you a little bit about the project and its impact. And really what I'm hoping to achieve through this presentation is to show you that applying for such an exchange action can be done painlessly, and it's really worth it. So the project, like all projects, started with an idea to develop materials and methods for additive manufacturing in order to fabricate advanced components from sustainable polymers. And Mick and I have talked about this idea for quite some time, and we were aware of work that is happening in this space around the world. And we talked about the idea of creating a network that would allow us to reach this goal. And we have a great European funding team in the AMBER Center where I am, and they recommended RISE exchange actions in order to construct this network. And I really loved the idea because I was a secondee myself in a Marie Curie International Staff Exchange program back in 2012 when I was doing my PhD. I think at the time it was called IRSES. And I got the chance to spend 3 months on the other side of the planet at University of Tasmania, doing some really cool research, meeting new people, and visiting places that I think otherwise I would have never had the chance to see. So I was really excited about coordinating RISE action. The next step was really to build a network. And for this, we thought more about the goal of the project. And once we had a clear goal, we thought of how we can achieve it. So in our case, it was to develop an ecosystem that facilitates materials and methods that would enable additive manufacturing of specific components from sustainable polymers. And we thought of, okay, so how can this be achieved? So obviously you need a source of sustainable materials, characterization, pre-processing, and then you need expertise to incorporate this into inks and photoresists and filaments for additive manufacturing. You need experience in additive manufacturing technologies, and then you need to focus on what type of products you are trying to develop using this technology. We knew our strength is here at pre-processing. We have a lot of expertise in the center on advanced materials. So we needed complementary expertise in order to achieve this goal. And Mick had contacts in Sion, Crown Research Center in New Zealand, focusing on circular bioeconomy activities and bioderived materials. And he also had contacts in Luka, which is the Bioeconomy and Sustainable Research Center in Finland. So we now had great partners who could potentially help us in this area of material supply and characterization. We wrote an abstract, we contacted them, and they were on board. I had contacts, I had worked before with University of Wollongong, which were our world leaders in 3D fabrication technologies. And not only this, but they are making their own 3D printers specifically for R&D purposes. And I also had contacts at University of Würzburg, where again, they were doing a lot of 3D printing of biomaterials. In their case, it was focused on melt electrowriting. So we were able, with these 5 partners from academic and research background, to go from materials all the way to making new additive manufacturing equipment. So now it was the time when we really had to focus on finding industrial partners, SMEs, that will help us make products that are of interest, that will help us design prototypes and see exactly what is needed in order to go from materials to fabrication of products that are of interest. And we knew of Logitech, and we knew of their mission to becoming climate positive. We knew of their quest in reducing waste and becoming more circular. And luckily, they also have an office in Ireland. So this meant that we were able to visit them and pitch the idea. And really, Logitech was not only the perfect user for our project, but also they inspired us. Since 2021, all their products were carbon neutral. And since 2020, they had this carbon impact labeling on their products. And they were really interested, they were really committed to this project, interested in the idea of how they can become climate positive, how can they use sustainable materials in their products. And they have thought about 3D printing before, and they have worked with this supply chain company called WASP, and they recommended them for the project. And I have to say, WASP were really a great addition. They are also based in Ireland, and they were exactly what the project needed because they had great experience in working with big industries, providing product design and product development, and also additive manufacturing services. And really their insight was essential for us in finalizing, let's say, the goal of the project and really showing that what we want in the end is to really produce a technology roadmap that was well informed and that would allow other industries interested in 3D printing to follow the journey from sustainable materials to products of interest. So the reason why I spent quite some time telling you about how our consortium came together is because really, I think for a successful staff exchange program, the network is the most important aspect. And no one person had the same contact, had all the contacts, but by talking to each other, we were able to find a consortium that really complemented each other and that provided all the needing parts. Other lessons that we have learned along the way, of course, if you can, do start early. Contacting potential partners for the network takes time. And if you have available institutional support funding teams, please take advantage. And of course, Yvonne have just said there are some really great possibilities for national support, including pre-reviewing of your proposal, which I think is really excellent. So if you can, do take advantage of all of these resources. In terms of writing the proposal, we all have different styles, but I think it's important to get your message across early in the proposal and to pay attention to the state of the art. Do ensure that you know what the state of the art is in your field and also how this network will be able to advance the state of the art. Because this is a staff exchange action, of course, appropriate consideration has to be given to intern and multidisciplinarity and to intersectoral aspects. I would say be as credible as you can, as ambitious as you can, but while also being credible. Reviewers love that. We all know things not always go as planned. So having good risk mitigation measures, I believe, is also a plus. And sometimes you can do all of this and think, okay, this is a great proposal. We have a great consortium together, but the reviewers might find things that are not ideal, might find some faults. So what can you do? Well, you just have to learn from their comments, update the proposal, and try again. I have to say, our proposal was not successful in the first time we applied, and we applied again the second year after incorporating some of the reviewers' comments, and we got excellent feedback. So it is possible, and we have seen at such high success rates of 40%. I think it's really worth it to put in all the effort. So our demands project started in May 2021. Because of COVID, we had an extension, so it will run in total for 60 months, and it funds a total of 47 secondments across 45 person months. So really a lot of secondments under this project. And I said that 41 out of the 47 were funded by the EU. Because at the time, I mean, also now Australia is not eligible for funding, but also New Zealand was not eligible for funding. And our partners, Sion and University of Wollongong, were really essential part of the project. So they were able to host our researchers, but not actively participate in the secondments themselves. But in our case, we were able to apply for funding through our research center from SFI in order to fund also their visits to us, which was really ideal because it meant that they can also participate in the secondments. There are a lot of network-wide activities that are relevant in a RISE action, secondments, publications, workshops, seminars, research visits. And in addition to the standard transfer of knowledge activities, we have been able to welcome a variety of visiting researchers and forge links with other funding projects. And I think this is really important because it gives us the possibility of writing new projects and being involved in new collaborations outside the demands project. And here are some examples of the visits. And once COVID restrictions were lifted, we were able to start our secondments, and we had quite a few already happening, including to our partners in Australia and New Zealand. You can see one of my PhD students, Anel, who is here at the University of Wollongong with Professor David Officer, Dr. Stephen Byrne, and Professor Gordon Wallace. And then almost a year later, Professor David Officer came in his secondment to Ireland for a month, and he also had a chance to work with the industry partners, with Logitech and with WASP. Not only are the researchers really embedded in the research group that are hosting them, but they are also to participate in some of the activities that are going on there. Here you see another of the PhD students from Trinity, who is in a secondment at Sion in New Zealand, and here she's participating at the Taronga STEM Festival, doing some outreach together with the host partner Sion. And while the researchers come back with a lot of new knowledge back to the host institution, sometimes they also don't come empty-handed. And here you can see an example of the 3D printer that is developed in the Triceps Center at the University of Wollongong that Arnel was able to bring back to Trinity so that we can use it to further develop some of the inks and photoresist that she worked on there, and also use these to start other projects. We have seen from Raquel already there are a lot of possibilities for impact for these projects. I would say from my point of view, the impact is at least threefold. In terms of infrastructure, the project is really providing a framework for delivering high impact, world-class research. Our partners, including industry and SME, have access to our infrastructure in Amber and in Trinity, access to emerging technologies, and also they get to familiarize themselves with new materials that are available, what is the state of the art in terms of material processing techniques. And also this collaboration places us in a great position to apply for new funding opportunities. Of course, it offers intersectoral and international mobility opportunities, and we have seen from my previous slide some of the secondments that have already taken place in the DEMANDS project for both early career researchers, but really also for established professors and established industry that can be involved in these secondments. And I believe today, international and intersectoral experience has become increasingly important for early career researchers, and this really gives them the opportunity to develop their career and to put themselves in excellent positions for future recruitment. In terms of skills development, the action offers both researchers, industry partners, SMEs, any non-academic partner training on new techniques and processes, and gaining really wide technical expertise. So I do believe there are definitely a lot of benefits. With this, I would like to end my talk. Thank you very much to the organizers again for inviting me. Of course, I will try to answer as many questions as possible now, but if you have any more questions afterwards, don't hesitate to contact me. And of course, if you're ever interested in a staff exchange partner with experience in polymers and 3D printing, please don't hesitate to contact me as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Larissa. That was a really great account of the DEMANDS project, and especially the impact that it's having across many different areas for you and for the researchers involved. And I really loved you sharing your experience at the start and your journey as a secondee to a coordinator. And so hopefully that will inspire some people as well. So this brings us to our Q&A. We have some time, which is great. And we have a few questions come in, and we received a few questions in the registration. So we'll go through as many of them as we can. Just to say, if we don't get to your question now, or if something comes up after the webinar, please do contact myself and Jane. And I know Jane will be putting our contact details in the chat as well. So Raquel, we might start with you. We've had a few questions come in. One quick one. So we've been asked if we can confirm that each proposal requires a minimum of 3 partners, but one of them can be outside of the EU. Is that correct?
Yes and no. So, no, the simple answer to that is not a requirement to have an organization coming from outside the EU. It's only a requirement if if the organizations participating in the consortium are from the same sector. Obviously, then there would be a need of a third country participation to be able to have eligible secondments.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. That was the minimum.
Yeah. I was just going to say to the person who asked that question, you're also welcome if you have any. If you're uncertain about the consortium that you're thinking of, you could also send us an email and we could go through it with you. And Raquel, another one that has come through, is the UK considered a Horizon Europe associated country for the purpose of the Staff Exchanges call?
Yeah, for this year call, it's not considered an associated country. I mean, it would be considered associated country as from next year call 2024. We know that they have agreed in participating in Horizon Europe, but not for this call because it was already programmed. So for the time being, for this call, they would be, of course, they can participate, but they will not be receiving funding. However, in practical terms, if you submit your proposal, they should be remaining as a beneficiary. Just, I'm explaining you this very clear because then UCRI, which is the United Kingdom Research and Innovation, will be funding this secondments. So therefore, in terms, it doesn't change, but bear in mind that their secondments will be not funded by us, but it will be funded by UK organization.
Yeah.
But as from 2024, it will go back to the previous stage. Yes.
Yeah, it's still a little bit complicated to get your head around for the UK for this call as well. But actually, UKRO, and I might get Jane to pop a link into the chat, has some really helpful information about how you would incorporate a UK partner into your consortium for 2023. Because as Raquel said, you need to add them as beneficiary, but the funding wouldn't come from the EU. If they're actually selected for funding, it would come from the UK government. So maybe Jane will pop some helpful link into the chat for that. I might just jump over to Larissa for the moment. So Larissa, I was just curious, you mentioned in your presentation there, you referenced further funding opportunities for the collaboration and how it can kind of promote new opportunities for you. And of course, sustainability of the consortium and of collaboration, it's one of the important intended impacts of the Staff Exchanges programme. So I wanted to ask, at the proposal stage, when you were planning the demands proposal, how much emphasis did you put on this sustainability of collaboration and how you would sustain it, funding opportunities, maybe what calls you'd apply to or that kind of thing? Or do you have any advice for people at proposal stage in the planning of that?
So for sure, we thought about having a sustainable action where we could work together with these partners, not only for this particular program, but also to try to get into new consortia and to new calls. Mm-hmm. So while in some of the cases we already had the contacts, but some of the partners that are currently in this proposal, we haven't worked before with them. So I think it's really important to also kind of not try to have all of the contacts from the start, be open, maybe use some of these searching engines and some of these resources that Raquel showed to actually look for partners that you might not be aware of, because only like this you can really expand your network and think of new projects and learn things that maybe you haven't really thought before. So for sure, I think that is important. And yes, we are targeting some EU calls at the moment. And of course, not maybe with all of the partners, but with maybe one partner here and two partners on a different call. So I think there are definitely a lot of opportunities that can come up out of this type of exchange actions.
Thank you. Raquel, I'll come back to you. There have been another couple of questions come in through the webinar, so we'll just see if we can get through these quickly. The first one is, if you are a research project manager and currently paid from an MSCA grant, like a doctoral network, are you still eligible to apply for a staff exchange?
Well, the answer is no. So as staff exchanges requires full dedication to the project while on secondment, then you would need either to drop this doctoral network for the time you are doing the secondment, and then you can continue to your doctoral network. But through the mobility, while you are on mobility, it's not possible to combine the two. So you should receive your salary, but if it comes from another MSCA, is not eligible.
Thank you. And actually, the guide for applicants has a piece on that as well about, what is allowed and not allowed if you're funded from an MSCA grant. And Raquel, just staying with you, I know we're coming close to the end of our Q&A session, but there's another question coming around. It's from one person, but three different questions within it. So we'll just see if we can cover these. The first is about the unit cost for the seconded staff member, the €2,300. There was a question of what will be covered by that unit cost, or will it just be given to the staff member, for them to decide how to use it? And the second part of the question is whether PhD students can be sent if they're not actually mentioned or included in the original proposal. We might just see if we can take those first.
Yeah. So the allowance for the researcher, it should go, as I said, integrally to the researcher, regardless of the secondment he or she has done. So sometimes travels might be more expensive to certain countries for another, but this is the amount that the fellow should receive. This can be topped up, as we said often, through the other amount that can be decided by the consortium, that, for example, for particularly expensive countries or travels, as Larissa was saying, New Zealand or Australia can be also top up by these amounts. Regarding the second part of the question, PhD students, initially the secondment plan is an estimation. It can be varied throughout the duration of the project, but dependent on the amount of or the proportion of the changes, it would require an addenda to the grant agreement. However, in principle, PhD students, of course, can be doing the secondment, but depending on the proportion of the changes compared to the total amount of person months to be implemented in the project, it might require an addenda or not. Yes, I think if you have a particular project in hand, I would recommend to contact your project officer to check it out if it is needed or not.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you. And we might just get the third part of that question in. So the third part is whether there are discipline-wise success rates for the staff exchanges call. So perhaps, Raquel, you might just explain how the budget is apportioned across the panels.
It's quite difficult to explain in such a sort of, but mainly there is not a success rate per se per panel, but it depends on the number of proposals received, of course, and the allocation of the budget. But it varies because it depends on the number of proposals received. Yes.
So I think that actually brings us to the end of our Q&A. We're just running out of time. Again, you can always contact myself and Jane here in the office, and I know Larissa shared her details. The recording of this webinar will be available, and we'll also make the presentations available as well. So I'll just wrap up by saying thank you all for joining us. We hope you found it informative and useful. And I'd especially like to thank all our panel members for giving their time today and for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. And I know Jane has been popping our contact details into the chat as well. So thank you all again, and I wish you all a very pleasant afternoon, and we look forward to the next time that we'll be speaking with you. So bye for now.